right. Welcome back to the deep dive. You know the drill.
Always excited to be back.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You bring the sources, we bring you the insights.
Mm-hmm.
And this time around, we're tackling Trump's gold card proposal.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one.
Yeah, so we got a Rumble video clip, some YouTube transcripts, and then a whole bunch of articles.
A stack of them.
Yeah, a stack. So we're going deep into, what this gold card actually is, what it aims to achieve, and whether it has, a ghost of a chance of becoming reality.
It's a bold idea, for sure.
Yeah. Offering a gold card for $5 million.
$5 million.
That's not your average immigration policy, is it?
No, not at all. Definitely targeting a very, very specific clientele.
Yeah.
Individuals with a lot of wealth
Mm-hmm.
looking to expedite their path to U.S. citizenship.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because it does seem to be like a complete departure from how we typically think about immigration.
Right.
It's not about family reunification or seeking asylum. It's purely about attracting investment and, boosting the economy.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And Trump has been very vocal about this this program essentially being a replacement for the existing EB-5 program, which he sees as riddled with problems.
Yeah.
I mean, he's called it full of nonsense, make-believe, and fraud.
Wow.
Strong words.
Yeah, I mean, he's essentially saying, forget the old way. Let's bring in the big bucks and make America even richer. Right?
That's one way to put it, yeah.
I mean, the potential revenue here is just staggering.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, upwards of $1 trillion
Yep.
if he manages to sell between 1 and 10 million of these gold cards.
Yeah, $1 trillion with the T.
Yeah, $1 trillion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost hard to even wrap your head around.
That's a lot of money.
So
yeah.
Let's get real for a second. Is it even feasible to attract that many ultra-wealthy individuals willing to shell out $5 million for a U.S. passport?
That is the multi-million-dollar question right there.
Yeah.
But, it's worth noting that there are similar programs in other countries.
Right.
But they typically require significantly lower investment.
Okay.
Portugal, Spain, Greece, they all have programs in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, not millions.
Okay.
You even see some Caribbean nations offering citizenship by investment in the $200,000 to $300,000 range.
Wow. Okay. So the U.S. is definitely aiming for the top tier of the global elite.
For sure.
With this price tag.
Yeah, top tier.
But what are they offering that justifies that premium?
Well, the key difference, it seems, is the direct path to citizenship.
Oh, okay.
While many programs primarily grant residency, the Gold Card appears to bundle green card privileges with a streamlined citizenship process.
Oh, so it's like the VIP express lane to the American dream,
Yeah.
but with a hefty price tag.
Hefty price tag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that raises some important questions, I think.
For sure.
Like, who exactly would benefit from this program? I mean, we know it's targeting the ultra-wealthy, but is it just individuals? Or
Well, Trump has mentioned the possibility of companies buying gold cards for top graduates from prestigious universities like Wharton, Harvard, Stanford.
Okay.
So you can imagine a whole new wave of global talent entering the U.S. workforce with gold cards in hand.
I mean, that's an intriguing idea, but I can see how it might raise some eyebrows as well.
Definitely raises questions about competition for American graduates.
Yeah, for sure. And let's not forget about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The potential for this program to be exploited by less than savory individuals.
Right.
I mean, Trump himself has acknowledged that even Russian oligarchs could participate.
Yeah, that adds another layer of complexity.
It's the whole thing.
Especially given the current geopolitical climate and concerns about foreign influence.
Right. I mean, if we're talking about opening the doors to anyone with $5 million, wouldn't that raise some serious security concerns? I mean, how do you even vet someone's wealth and intentions when the stakes are this high?
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It highlights the need for very robust vetting processes and safeguards to prevent fraud and abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen issues arise with the EB-5 program, which this is meant to replace.
It seems like we're trading one set of problems for another, potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, so with all that in mind, let's dive into the, pros and cons a little bit.
Okay.
What are some of the arguments in favor of this program?
Well, the most obvious argument is the potential for massive revenue generation.
Okay.
If the program hits its targets, it could bring in $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Money that could be used to reduce the national debt or fund other important initiatives.
Okay. I could see how that would be tempting for any administration, especially with the
Right.
economy in its current state.
Yeah.
But are there other potential benefits besides just the financial windfall?
Yeah, proponents of the gold card argue that it could stimulate economic growth
Okay.
beyond just the initial investment.
Yeah.
These individuals are likely to invest in businesses,
Okay.
create jobs, and contribute to the overall vitality of the U.S. economy.
So the idea is it's not just a one-time cash injection,
Right.
but like a long-term investment in America's future.
Exactly. And some even argue that it could enhance U.S. global competitiveness
Oh.
by attracting top talent and investment.
Okay.
The gold card could help America maintain its edge in a rapidly changing world.
It's like a high-stakes talent show,
Kinda.
with the gold card being the ultimate prize.
There's an element of that in there for sure.
Yeah, but it's important to remember this isn't a game.
Right.
There are, real human lives and real economic consequences at stake here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've heard the arguments for the gold card, but let's not sugarcoat it. This proposal has sparked a lot of controversy.
For sure.
What are some of the concerns being raised by critics?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is the ethical implications
Okay.
of essentially selling citizenship to the highest bidder. Critics argue that it undermines the values of fairness
Mm-hmm.
and equal opportunity that America supposedly stands for.
Yeah, it does seem to create a two-tiered system where wealth buys access to privileges that are just out of reach for most people.
Right. And it raises questions about the type of society that we're creating.
Right.
Are we prioritizing wealth over other values like hard work or talent or contributions to the community?
Those are some tough questions to grapple with.
They are.
And it's not just about the moral implications, right? There are also practical concerns about how this program would even actually work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the biggest hurdles is that the president doesn't have the authority to unilaterally change immigration law.
Oh, right.
That power rests with Congress.
And given the current political climate, getting this kind of program through Congress seems like a long shot at best.
It's definitely facing an uphill battle.
Yeah, and even if it did pass, there are questions about its long-term viability.
Right.
Like what would...
Well, some experts argue that this type of program could create a dependence on wealthy investors,
Okay.
which could actually make the U.S. economy vulnerable to the whims of the global elite.
So instead of strengthening America's independence,
Mm-hmm.
it could make us more reliant on foreign capital.
That's one of the potential risks. Yeah.
Okay, and then of course there are the legal challenges
Oh, yes.
that are almost inevitable with any major policy shift.
Almost inevitable.
It sounds like there are a lot of potential pitfalls along the road to making this gold card a reality.
It's definitely not a simple proposition.
Well, it's certainly given us a lot to think about already.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface.
I know, right. So much to unpack here.
All right, so let's unpack some more of the nuances that we found in your sources about this gold card proposal.
Okay, yeah, we talked about the big picture, but what about the finer points?
Yeah, one aspect I found particularly interesting was the potential impact on U.S. competitiveness.
Okay.
The gold card is presented as a way to attract the best and brightest. Mm-hmm.
From around the world, essentially reversing the brain drain.
Right. Luring top talent and investment away from other countries. It sounds like we're talking about a global talent war.
It does have that competitive edge to it.
Yeah.
Proponents argue that by making the path to citizenship more appealing,
Okay.
the U.S. could outmaneuver other countries with similar programs.
But wouldn't that just escalate the competition?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's to stop other countries from sweetening their own deals
Right.
to keep up?
That's certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
It could trigger a race to the bottom, with countries constantly trying to undercut each other to attract the wealthy.
Yeah.
And the global economic implications could be significant.
Okay, so it's not as simple as just offering a shiny new gold card and watching the talent flood.
Right.
There's a whole global ecosystem at play.
Precisely. And speaking of complexity, one thing that struck me while reviewing these sources was the lack of detail about how the program would actually work. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of focus on the potential benefits and drawbacks,
Right.
but not much about the nuts and bolts.
Exactly.
I mean, who would manage it, how they handle security and vetting. I mean,
Those are crucial questions.
yeah.
And unfortunately, your sources don't offer many concrete answers.
Right.
There's a lot of talk about attracting investors and generating revenue,
Mm-hmm.
but very little about the operational side.
It's like having a blueprint for a skyscraper,
Mhm.
but no instructions on how to actually build it.
Exactly.
You've got the grand vision,
Mm-hmm.
but no clear plan for execution.
And that lack of clarity makes it difficult to assess the program's feasibility and potential risks.
Yeah.
It's like we're missing a few chapters in the manual.
And let's be honest, even if they iron out all the logistical details, there's the whole issue of public perception. I can't imagine this idea of citizenship for sale
Right.
going over well with everyone.
You're hitting on a key point there.
Yeah.
Your sources do touch on the potential for public backlash. There's a risk that this program could be seen as catering to the elite, further widening the gap between the haves and the have-nots.
It doesn't exactly scream land of opportunity if you have to shell out $5 million to get in the door.
It does raise concerns about fairness and whether this aligns with the values America claims to uphold.
It seems like they're walking a tightrope between attracting investment and maintaining public trust.
They are. It's a delicate balancing act with potentially high stakes.
Okay, so we've got this controversial program with a lot of unanswered questions. But let's step back for a second and think about the average person listening to this.
Okay.
Why should they care about this whole debate?
That's where it becomes crucial to connect these abstract policy discussions to the real-world impact on people's lives.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's not just about numbers and economic theories.
Right.
It's about how this could affect everyday Americans.
Exactly. And the potential implications are significant. For instance, if the program is successful in attracting investment and stimulating economic growth, it could lead to more job opportunities and potentially even higher wages.
So there's a chance this could actually benefit the average worker.
It's certainly within the realm of possibility.
No.
However, the flip side is that if the program fails to deliver on its promises,
Right.
or if it leads to unintended negative consequences,
Yeah.
it could end up hurting the very people it's supposed to help.
So it's a bit of a gamble with both potential upsides and downsides for the average American.
Every major policy shift carries inherent risks and rewards.
Right.
We need to look at the long-term consequences, not just the immediate gains.
And speaking of the long term, one thing that really stood out to me in these sources was the potential impact on the U.S.'s global standing.
That's an important point.
Yeah.
The gold card is framed as a way for the U.S. to maintain its dominance, but it could also backfire.
How so?
Well, some argue that it could make the U.S. appear desperate for cash, essentially putting a price tag on citizenship.
Yeah.
And that could damage America's reputation and soft power on the world stage.
So instead of projecting an image of strength and leadership,
Right.
it could send the message that we're open for business to the highest bidder.
Precisely. And that could have long-term consequences for America's global standing and influence.
It's fascinating to think about how this one policy could ripple outward and affect the global balance of power.
It highlights the interconnected nature of today's world.
Yeah.
Actions taken in one country can have unintended consequences far beyond its borders.
Okay, so we've explored the potential benefits, the concerns, and the broader implications of this Gold Card program. It's a lot to digest.
It certainly is. There are a lot of moving pieces and no easy answers.
What stands out to you as the most thought-provoking aspect of this whole discussion?
For me, it's the reminder that immigration policy is often framed as a purely economic issue, but it's so much more than that. It's about values, identity, and what kind of society we want to create.
It's about people, not just numbers on a balance sheet.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that often gets lost in the debate.
Well said. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the nuts and bolts of the Gold Card program to, its potential impact on the U.S. and the wider world.
We've really dissected this proposal from all angles.
Yeah, explored both the enthusiasm and the apprehension that it's generated.
For sure.
And now as we wrap things up,
Okay.
I want to leave you with something to ponder.
Okay.
Something that might, spark your own curiosity and get you thinking about the bigger picture.
All right. I'm always up for a good thought exercise.
So let's imagine for a moment that you're a wealthy investor
Okay.
with $5 million to spare,
All right.
and you're looking for a path to citizenship.
Okay. I'm picturing myself on a yacht somewhere,
Right.
contemplating my global options.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's the question. What would make the U.S. Gold Card program more appealing to you than similar programs offered by other countries?
That's a great question. It forces you to think about what the U.S. offers that's unique,
Right.
compelling enough to justify that $5 million price tag.
Is it purely about the speed and efficiency of obtaining citizenship?
Right.
Or are there other factors at play?
It could be a combination of things. Maybe it's the allure of American culture,
Right.
the promise of economic opportunity, or the perception of stability and security.
Maybe it's the prestige of holding a U.S. passport or the access it provides to global markets and networks.
Yeah, or perhaps it's a belief that the U.S. offers a better quality of life
Okay.
with its diverse communities, world-class education, and, innovative spirit.
It's fascinating to consider the motivations and aspirations of these potential investors.
It is.
What would truly tip the scales in favor of the U.S.?
It's a complex equation with no easy answers,
Yeah.
but I think by exploring these different perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
we can gain a deeper understanding of the forces that are shaping global migration
Yeah.
and investment.
Right. So I encourage you to take some time to really think about this question. Put yourself in the shoes of that investor
Mm-hmm.
and consider what would make the U.S. stand out from the crowd.
And remember, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
It's all about exploring the complexities of this issue and forming your own informed opinion.
Well said. And with that, we'll bring this deep dive to a close. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the gold card proposal.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope it's given you a lot to think about and maybe even spark some lively conversations.
Yeah, keep those brains buzzing.
Until next time.
And those sources coming. We'll be here ready to dive deep into whatever fascinating topic you throw our way.